Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Robin's Nest. We're not going to do a whole bunch of build-up today because the main topic I want to just get right into because I'm pretty fired up about it. So if you enjoy listening to me ramble about cars, motorsports, anything I feel like talking about, make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment, turn on notifications. Check out our eBay. The link is in the description. If you're interested in die-cast cars, t-shirts, hats, auto parts, anything and everything, check that out. Also, follow me on Facebook and X for more motorsports content. And Facebook, I do nothing but racing stuff on Facebook, and then on X I do a little bit of everything. So all those links are in the description. Check them out. Without further ado, let's get into it. So Bob Pockrass, I think, is the first person who broke the news today that NASCAR has fined Carson Hocevar a further $50,000. And I say further because this is the second fine of the season for him. The first one was after some comments he made about Mexico a few months back. And of course they tried to make that out to be, they facilitated the fine through Spire, the team that he drives for, Spire Motorsports. They made Spire come out and say that they were the ones that actually fined him, and it's complete nonsense. And they made the press release. They made it clear that they communicated with NASCAR to make sure that the fine was up to their standards and would suffice whatever they were asking. So they just didn't want to get their hands dirty and force Spire to do that. So this time around, it's $50,000 for unsafe behavior or some nonsense like that. He spun out during the race this weekend, and evidently while he was sitting there on the apron trying to get the car going, the safety crew walked up and was going to check on him, and because he was trying to get the car going, he made it an unsafe environment for the crew, track crew, whatever you want to call them. Okay, so here's my problem. Number one, that narrative that he made it unsafe for the safety crew or whatever, you can shoot holes in that all day. Okay, and number one, I've seen the exact scenario, so I haven't seen the video of what they're talking about, but the exact scenario that they laid out in their excuse, okay, has happened a million times. I've seen it happen so many times in NASCAR, and there's never a penalty, at least one that we know about. Okay, NASCAR has been known to keep penalties a secret and not make them public because of the inevitable fallout. That's not the case this time. So I've seen it happen. You know, it happens all the time. It happened in Atlanta. What was that? I think it was this year that Chase Elliott won in Atlanta, where they had the massive crash that wiped out half the field, and you had 10 cars sitting on the apron wrecked. Half of them were trying to get going. Safety crew was out there almost immediately. You could easily say that any of those guys were putting the safety crew at danger by trying to get the car going. Furthermore, if you are on the safety crew and you get out of the truck and you're walking around going to each one of these cars, if you see one that's running and is actively spinning the tires trying to get going, why in God's name would you walk up to it? And even further than that, why would you not have confirmation from the tower that the driver in that car knows that you're walking up to it before you do so? So how could you possibly fine the driver $50,000 when this could easily be pinned on someone else? But even if that's not the case, even if he knew the simple fact that this has been done time and time again, and there's never been a penalty. The only penalty I can think of with this happening, and I think he was penalized, I'm not exactly sure, I'm pretty sure he was though, was Kurt Busch back in, I think, 2012 at Talladega, where safety crew was standing next to the car. He had crashed. They put their equipment and stuff on the roof of the car. He finally got the car to start because it was running out of fuel, so he couldn't get into the pickup. Finally did, car started, and he drove back to the pits. And NASCAR got pissed off at him. I'm pretty sure they fined him. That is the only case that I can think of where that's happened. And that was We're in 25. That was what, 13 years ago? No, what this boils down to is NASCAR has a personal issue with Carson Hocevar. They can't keep him under control. And by under control, I mean doing exactly what they want him to do. You know, he's got a big personality. And he doesn't hold back. Whether that be in interviews, whether that be on the racetrack, what have you. He doesn't hold back. But the problem I have is that NASCAR is constantly saying, and by NASCAR, I mean a lot of their media pundits are constantly saying that we need more personality in the sport. Well, I mean, every time you have one that comes along that has his own personality, they find that person into oblivion until they start behaving the way that the sanctioning body wants them to. If you look back at Ross Chastain, it's another perfect example. He came into the sport, he was aggressive, he rubbed people the wrong way. You know, he said what he wanted to say, and if you didn't like it, so be it. The problem is that he started ticking off Rick Hendrick, and I love Rick Hendrick, okay? Just be honest with you. One of the best people I've ever worked for, hands down, bar none, period. That being said, though, what happened with Ross was ridiculous, you know, and Rick came out after the situation at Darlington. I don't remember what year it was. I don't think it was last year, maybe in the year prior to that, but you know, he and Kyle Larson, Ross and Kyle Larson got into it at Darlington. And so Rick comes out and he publicly states that, you know, that he's not happy with the situation. And since they get engines, Trackhouse gets engines from Hendrick, you know, it's going to be a problem, so on and so forth. And so NASCAR also got involved behind the scenes, of course. You know, they won't, in situations like that could not be favorable in the public square for them, they typically covertly get involved, don't make that public. And then, you know, Justin Marks, the owner of Trackhouse, comes out and says, well, you know, in light of everything that's happened, I've had a conversation with Ross, and, you know, we're gonna tone it down a bit. And Ross has not been the same race car driver since. He just hasn't. I know he's won some races, but he has not been the same. And I don't think it has anything to do with Trackhouse's equipment or the team or anything like that. Because there's not been a lot of change at Trackhouse since he was there, since he started driving for them. He was really, really good. He was up front almost every weekend. When they took his edge away, he hasn't been. You can even go so far back as look at Kevin Harvick. You know, Kevin Harvick came in 2001 after Dale was killed. Was aggressive, you know. He ran his mouth. He had his opinion about things, and he'd let you know. That led up to him getting suspended in 2002 at the Martinsville race weekend. You know, he's already, I think, on probation for something he had said or done. And he was running the truck race on Saturday. Coy Gibbs got into him at one point in the race, and Kevin came back on the radio and said, next time I get to him, I'm going to spin him out. Well, and sure enough, when he got back to him, he spun him out. So NASCAR parked him for the rest of that race, and then parked him for the rest of the weekend. He was not the same driver when he came back. I mean, he just wasn't. He was, 2002 was a pretty pitiful year for that team, which is, you know, I know they won at Chicago, but 2001 was a really good year for them. And I saw Kevin on his podcast was talking about it, and he was like, just the morale at the team and everything wasn't good. You know, they went back to running black car, silver and black car, whereas it was white. And so it was like going back to the way that it was when Dale was there and all that. I don't think that really has anything to do with it. I think, and this is just my opinion, I could be dead wrong, you know. Those guys are there, those guys are in it. They obviously know more than me, but just from my opinion looking in from the outside, is that you know, when you get drivers and they show up and they're on the ragged edge all the time, you know, they're gonna rub people the wrong way. That's just gonna happen. But when you try to pull them and rein them in, a lot of the time, you end up taking that competitive edge away from them, because that is their competitive edge. Being on the ragged edge is their competitive edge. When you pull them back in, you rein them in, you take that away from them. And that's what happened with Kevin, in my opinion. That's what happened with Ross. And it's happened several times with several other drivers as well, but there's just ones that come to mind. And that's exactly what they're trying to do with Carson. Okay? I think a lot of the issue as well is the fact that NASCAR doesn't want Spire going up there and beating Hendrick, Gibbs, and Penske. Could be wrong. I think that has something to do. I don't think that's the entire reason. I think that's got something to do with it. Whether you like Carson or not, you can't argue the fact that that guy has way more talent than half the guys out there on Sunday. He just does. And look, I'm not a particular fan of him. I think he's a little weasel, and I say that with love. Okay? But whenever he gets in trouble, he's just quick to bend a knee and kiss everyone's rear end. No, dude, you need to stand your ground. Okay? Like the Mexico situation, that was nonsense. That was absolute nonsense. And so, why are we going to... I mean, I don't know. I just don't get it, really. You always hear that there's a personality problem. These guys are too vanilla. Yet every single time, one comes along that has a personality, the suits always shut them up. Every time. And I just do not understand it. I will never understand it. But then you have people out there like Bubba who they let him say whatever he wants to. We all know why that is. I mean, let's not be foolish. We know why that is. Okay? It's just, it's politics. It's backdoor politics, and I cannot stand it. And I think that plays a large role into why I think this weekend was the fourth playoff race of the season, if I'm doing my math correctly here. And none of them have touched 2 million viewers. None of them. This past weekend at Kansas was 1.4. That's about average, because the week prior to that was pretty low, 1.2, but the other two races were like at 1.4 or 1.5. And I was having a conversation with someone, and a couple of people, and a lot of people are trying to, there's always the excuses. The excuses drive me nuts. Going up against football. I haven't heard that one yet this weekend. I'm sure it's from this weekend. I'm sure it's coming, but football, it's on USA and all this other kind of stuff. Well, the USA argument, I would almost lean into and kind of go with that. But someone pointed out to me earlier that WWE, I think it was last year, was on USA. And don't quote me on the time frame here, because I'm not a WWE fan. I don't watch it. But this is just based off of what someone told me. That WWE raked in more views or viewers than that on the USA Network. So if WWE can bring in that many viewers on USA, there's no reason why NASCAR can't. You got to take into consideration too. People look at these numbers and they're like, well, they still did pretty good to be on network television. 1.5 million people is not a lot of people. Okay? It's not. And I understand that there are other entities out there that would kill to have some of the numbers that NASCAR brings in. I don't know about 1.4. But regardless, IndyCar doesn't touch those numbers. I know that for a fact. So, you have other entities that can bring those numbers in on the same network channel. There's no excuse why NASCAR can't. 1.4 million people, not a lot of people, okay? It's just not. So there's no way you can frame that as, well, the numbers really aren't that bad given that they're on network television. There's a lot of people that still have network television. A lot more than you think, okay? No, there's just the excuse that everyone needs to run with, because it's the actual reason why this is happening, is that the product is awful. You know, I don't want to belabor the point because I talk about this all the time, but I mean, you have to talk about it now because every week it's the same thing. It's dismal. It's awful. There needs to be major changes. But what drives me nuts is I watched a little bit of the Kansas race this weekend, and everything that everyone is complaining about online, they're just doubling down on. You know, you're not bringing in any viewers. You're driving them away consistently every weekend, yet we're going to double down on the nonsense. I don't understand it. I wish I could like be in the room with the Steves and with Jim France and Ben Kennedy. It just kind of, you know, we saw the email chains that was released during the court case. But like I would really like to be in the room with them to just hear how they talk to one another. Just see what the thought process is. Like, what are y'all doing? Like, why are we doing this? I mean, is it because you've already been paid from the TV company so you just don't care? Well, that's great, but what about in a few years when that TV deal is up? Because that TV deal don't last forever. There's an end date to that contract at some point. Are y'all just going to allow the sport to fall off a cliff and be totally irrelevant, and then when the next negotiation rolls around, you're not going to have anything to come to the table with? I can't wrap my mind around what is going on. You know, most entities that I've seen, when you're in a ratings slide, you try to do something to fix the problem, but they seem completely uninterested in doing so. We're just gonna let it die, I guess. I don't know. I can't wrap my mind around it. It's insanity, in my opinion. I know there's some Jim France fans out there. I haven't met them yet, but I'm sure there are that take up for him. There was someone I was talking to the other day, actually. I take that back about not meeting any of them. There was a guy I was talking to the other day that was like, well, you know, I take up for NASCAR and a lot of things because this is their house. They built it. They own it. Yeah, that's a terrible, terrible way to look at it. Okay? Because Jim France didn't build anything in NASCAR. Neither did Brian. Neither has Ben Kennedy. Their daddies and granddaddies built the sport. They have all tried to kill it. All right. And then not only that, they have a monopoly on stock car racing in North America. There's not another show in town. Okay. So yeah, you can criticize it. You can call it what it is. All right. And don't take their side when they're deliberately doing what they can to destroy the product. Which is what, I mean, there's really, you can't convince me of anything else. It's either complete incompetence or they just don't care. It's one of the two. There is no third option. There's no in between. It is one of those two. But anyways, I digress. I could go on for hours about this. It's nonsense. And like, stop fining Carson Hocevar. For God's sakes. Let the kid be himself. Let him have a personality. You know, we don't want a grid full of, no offense, but like Joey Logano. Or like 40 Joey Loganos. That's not what we want. You know, Joey Logano is like one of the most vanilla people I've ever seen in my life. He may not be behind the scenes and off camera, but at least on camera he definitely is. And his teammates is what, Ryan Blaney? I literally start nodding off every time that dude speaks. He's one of the most boring individuals I've ever seen in my life. How in God's name does he have any fans? It's beyond me. And then Austin, it's like all the Penske drivers are just boring. I'm sure they're all nice dudes, but man, which I have an issue with Ryan Blaney because of his politics and his little timeout for racism, stupid ad that he did, I think it was last year. Like, let's stop racism. As if you can actually do that. Like that whole campaign that everyone's been on since COVID to stop racism. I've got news for you. It's impossible. You will never stop it. You'll never stop it. And look, I don't agree with it either. I don't think it should exist. People shouldn't be like that. But you can't control the way that people think. It is always going to be out there. So all the campaigns to stop racism make absolutely no sense. You are just pissing into the wind, as they say. But anyways, if you enjoy listening to me ramble about motorsports, cars, anything else I feel like talking about, make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment, turn on notifications. If you're interested in diecast cars, t-shirts, hats, auto parts, basically anything, check out our eBay. The link is in the description. Also follow me on Facebook and X for more motorsports content, racing content, politics, so on and so forth. Those links are also in the description. As always, thanks for watching, guys and gals, and we'll see you next time. God bless. Have a good one. Peace.